Welcome to Three and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you on this Tuesday. Glad you are with us. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Plenty to get to, and joining us here right off the bat is Cole Cubelic, ESPN college football analyst, co-host of Three Man Front on WJOX in Birmingham, who joins us here. Cole, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on, and obviously Super Bowl on Sunday. Tom Brady gets it done again, but just watching that game as a former lineman yourself, had to be impressed by the way the line play was in that Super Bowl.
Not impressed with the Kansas City.
Right. Well, obviously, I mean, but Tampa Bay is what I meant to say.
the Tampa Bay line was great. I think it should have gone a long way in reinforcing for people that, play at the line of scrimmage is still important, that defense is still important, and that you can't just throw a bunch of offensive weapons out there and think that you're going to go outscore everybody and continue to win championships. There are going to be teams that can out-scheme you, teams that can outsmart you and out-coach you, and have other ways to make life difficult for you and find ways to win games. So I think the way that Tampa Bay operates with multiple tight ends, being able to use them in protection and in the passing game, and obviously running the football, adding some balance to that with an elite defense, especially up front. That front seven for Tampa is just ridiculous. Sue's played great down the stretch. Golson's been good down the stretch. JPP's been good. Shaq Barrett's been great. And then obviously Levante David and Devin White, they might be the best combination of inside linebackers in the league. Devin White's going to be a star for a long time. It was cool to watch. I mean, I think that, even the Kansas City D-line did some good stuff. Like, if you really dive into that game, Chris Jones was dominant. I mean, Chris Jones put on a clinic in that game, whether it was, swims, rips, whether it was strike and shed. I mean, he was a big problem for Tampa's offensive line. The problem was they had the luxury to be able to get away from him and be able to make things happen before he could actually really cause the kind of disruption that the Tampa Bay front was causing. But my biggest takeaway, I thought Gronk should have been the MVP. Because of what he did, more so blocking than what he did catching the football. I mean, 2 touchdowns is impressive, but he had a couple of nice kick-out blocks in the run game. He was downfield on that one toss play that picked up a first down, and I saw him one-on-one in pass protection a few times, which is pretty impressive for a tight end in the NFL against some of those edge defenders. And I would have voted for Gronk for MVP, but I think Tom Brady solidified himself as the greatest football player to ever walk this planet. And for me, there's really no debate. It's not a quarterback debate anymore. I think it's the greatest football player to ever walk this earth. And if he wins another one next year or the year after, and he goes 2 more years, we're going to be having a real debate over, is he the greatest individual to play a team sport in the history of our country?
But Cole, even sticking with that, when you think about a guy like Tom Brady, it's his ability to elevate those around him. I mean, obviously he's won, in a lot of different ways, and obviously this year was his first year in the NFC, but just being able to elevate the guys around him, because we go back to the offense for Tampa Bay. Outside of the offensive line, all the offensive production came from newcomers. You talk about Antonio Brown, you talk about Gronk, you talk about Leonard Fournette. Those are guys that were not on Tampa Bay a year ago. Just talk about him just being able to people talk about a winning mentality. Most of us talk about it. Tom Brady really lives by it. He gets 52 other guys to believe in what he believes in.
No, I don't think there's any doubt. And I think you always talk about intangibles with different guys, different players. I don't think it's any different with Brady. You saw a couple different times where he's redirecting Gronk when he started to go in motion, telling him to line up somewhere else. The one really cool shot coming out of a timeout where he's kind of over there on the sideline telling everybody what play they need to be in, what formation they need to be in. And I just think that the ability to maneuver things, and the big comeback to when I tweeted out about Brady being the greatest player ever was, dinking and dunking and, check down Tom and throwing that quick outs to the tight ends. And to me, it's execution. I don't care how far you throw the ball. If you're executing well and you're helping us move the chains and put points on the board, I don't need these uber level of difficulty throws 50, 60 times a game. Just get me points on the board. Give me first down. Give me yards. And that's what he did in that game. That's what, if it's a velocity question, go back and look at a couple of throws against Green Bay. Look at that second touchdown to Gronk, and I don't think he's watched much on his fastball at all. It's kind of wild to think about. So you look at that offense and you say to yourself, you talk about the newcomers, and do they win that Super Bowl without Antonio Brown? I think they probably do. Do they win it without Gronk? I think they probably do, even though I thought he was the MVP of the game. Do they win that game without – Leonard Fournette did not lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in rushing this year. Ronald Jones did. I think they win that game without Fournette. I don't know if there's another individual on that team that you could say if you removed him, they don't win that game. You take Tom Brady off that team, I don't think Tampa Bay wins that game.
Well, keep joining us here on 3 and Out. Cole, you talk about Tristan Wirfs, first-round rookie coming in, started all 20 games, didn't miss a snap all year. I think 1 sack allowed after week 5, 1 penalty allowed after week 5. I mean, how does a guy walk into the NFL and do that on the offensive line?
Well, he was dominant at Iowa, and he was. There's a reason he came off the board in the first round. He's got super physical, a lot of fun to watch, and he's another one of those additions, I guess, when you have to collectively put into what made Tampa Bay different from the 7-19 they were the year before. But that was a big get. That was a big draft pick. That was a big win for Tampa Bay to make that selection there, because there were some other folks that were thinking, oh, do you add another wide receiver, some tailbacks on the board, a couple different directions you could go, and they ended up hitting a home run with Wirfs, because I think he is going to be a long-standing starter on that offensive line, and he was fantastic this year. And you knew bringing in Brady, you were going to need to bolster the protection. I think that's one of the reasons that you add a Gronk. It's one of the reasons they have 4 or 5 tight ends on that roster. The most athletic one, most gifted one, by the way, not even playing in the Super Bowl with O.J. Howard on injured reserve. But you knew you needed to sort of upgrade that offensive line. And, I mean, they've got a starter up front that's on injured reserve right now. So they got some options. I think they have $14.5 million in space going into the offseason. Fournette's up. I think Sue is up. I think Levante David is up. So they got Antonio Brown obviously up. You already got Mike Evans saying he'll give some money back. He'll restructure. You know, Brady will restructure. So they're going to try to keep that thing together. I mean, the confidence that Brady showed right after the game of, no, there's, you know that, we coming back. I was just kind of thinking, man, let's not even do this, even thinking twice about it. He already knows he's coming back next year. So Wirfs was a big part of why they were able to do what they were able to do.
And Cole, I mean, I know we get, you know, just getting back to the offensive line play of what Tampa was able to do. You being a former offensive lineman, I mean, me being a former tight end, I mean, obviously, you know, I prided myself on being an all-around tight end. But I used to go to the offensive line room and I used to ask those guys I played with, man, what's the greatest game plan to you? And they would say, I want that guy in front of me. I don't want nobody to help me. I don't want nobody. Give me that guy in front of me and trust that I can take you there. Is that what you think? Bottom line, the old line said to themselves, listen, man, we ain't gonna get none of the glory, but we want to go out there and show the world, like you said, you can have all the offensive firepower in the world. We gonna reestablish another line of scrimmage and we gonna get this done.
Yeah, I think that starts with the head coach. And you know, I talked to the Tampa Bay tight end coach Rick Christophel earlier today, and he talked about just Bruce's philosophy, mentality is balance. They're going to be a team that can run the ball. They're going to be a team that knows they need to be successful running the ball. I think you know that if you can get that going, everything else is going to open up, be it tight ends underneath, be it Mike Evans, Antonio Brown down the field. And then, too, I think they understand that, hey, man, we got the best to ever do it. We got one of the guys in this league, if you give him time, he can carve you up, no matter what defense we're playing, no matter what scheme it is, no matter what they're coming at us with. Just give him some time, and we're going to be able to go shred people. So I think when you know you have all those things around you, and you know that that's what you're working towards, it does make your job a little more fun, makes life a little bit easier. I think some of the formations and sets they give too, when they spread the line of scrimmage, go multiple tight ends, that obviously helps a lot. Being able to sort of keep people at bay and force defenses to spread out a little bit more. But it's been a group that's played great ball this year. I mean, they have. I think Tom Brady's hit rate and pressure rate is the lowest in the NFL. I know his Super Bowl pressure rate and playoff pressure rates were the lowest of his career. I mean, to think about him at that age and that to happen, you got to look at that O-line and think they're doing an amazing job. So that's a big reason that Tampa was able to get that Super Bowl.
Cole Cubelic joining us here on 3 and Out. And Cole, switching gears, talking some college football right at the end of December, right before Christmas. Brian Harsin hired there at Auburn, brought in Mike Bobo, Derek Mason, National Signing Day last week. How would you rate kind of his first month and a half on the job?
Well, I think there's a lot of things you take into consideration. I think it's a good hire, a strong hire. I really like the staff that he's put together. He's got a couple former Auburn guys with Zach Etheridge coaching the corners, Carnell Williams coaching the running backs, and then you got the SEC ties. Obviously, Derek Mason's been a head coach in the SEC. Bobo's been an interim head coach and an offensive coordinator in the SEC. You got an offensive line coach that's been around the league for a long time, and Will Friend. And he's got a couple of his guys from his previous staff that I think make him more comfortable, that know exactly what he wants to do and what he wants to accomplish. But signing day is something that people are going to look at and say, no, there's this big letdown from Brian Harsin, or he didn't get things going, getting things together. Now that you got the early signing period, I mean, I think it's almost impossible for a new coach to come in and sort of resurrect a signing class, which that rarely has happened anyway, anywhere. You get a coaching change, and people are going to be able to use that against you, recruit negatively, and it's going to be hard to hold a class together or go get a better class than you had before. So I think he's done a fine job so far. I think he gets it. I think he's learning about what it's going to be like as he goes. I love the staff that he's put together. And, you got some in-state prowess. He goes and gets a Cornelius Williams out of Troy, wide receiver coach that played at Hoover High School. I think he's a guy that has large in-state ties. He's keeping Kendall Simmons on staff to help with the offensive line. It's a kid that's got 2 Super Bowl rings, one of the best ever playing in the SEC. So he's got a former offensive line coach coaching his tight ends. I like having the extra brain power, the extra brain trust as far as O-line play is concerned. And then you got he and Bobo that can both really go out there and help develop a quarterback. Those are 2 giant positions of need when it comes to player development that Auburn's going to need. And he got a couple guys out of the portal last week that I think are going to be able to help him. A couple guys decided to come back and play some more football at Auburn that had a chance to move on, like a Daquan Newkirk. So I'm excited about what Brian Harsin brings to the table. I don't think it's going to be great necessarily year one. There's some positions of need and obviously some holes on that roster, but I'm anxious to see how he can build it over the next few years.
And Cole, obviously, I mean, you mentioned a little bit. I mean, a guy, like in Brian Harsin, he's kind of going to help with the passing game with Mike Bobo kind of handling the running game. And I know Bo Nix is going to have to take that sophomore leap to that junior leap. Do you think that having a guy like Tank Bixby can definitely help when getting back to what Auburn does, letting the run kind of open it up for everything else in the pass?
Yeah, if they can find the O-line to do it, Ben, that's my concern is – that offensive line just was not very good last year. Your best offensive lineman was an Akron transfer until Brandon Council went down with an injury. So if there's a guy or two out there in the portal that they can go get at that position, I think they have to get them. I wouldn't be surprised if you get another quarterback. I think Grant Loy, the transfer out of Bowling Green, decided to take another year. I think it's big getting him to come back because I think Brian Harsin is going to make Bo Nix compete for it. I don't think he's giving it to him. And I think if Bo Nix tries to pull some of the same on-field shenanigans that he pulled last year, bailing on the pocket, playing hero ball, not knowing when to throw the ball away, taking sacks, not running out of bounds when the clock's ticking, those kind of things are going to get him benched. I don't think Brian Harsin cares who his dad is or how they recruited him or what they told him. So having Grant Loy there is going to be valuable. I wouldn't be surprised if they even found another quarterback in the portal. And they've got to find offensive linemen in the portal as well. If they can do that, then yeah, I think Tank can get going. I think he's going to be the workhorse. You're going to sort of build it around him. It's going to start with him, and then you just kind of go from there. I hated to see Schwartz leave because I feel like this is an offense he could flourish in. You get that outside zone stretch play going with Tank, and that's going to give you some heavy play action opportunities to push the ball down the field. And Anthony Schwartz would have been a guy that absolutely could have flourished.
Cole Cubelic joining us here on 3 and Out. Cole, before we let you go, it is National Pizza Day, so we're asking everybody, back in your playing days, what's the most pizza you ever took down in one sitting?
I mean, I could easily go a large pizza and then some. I mean, I can remember ordering a large pizza at some point in time, and guys in the room or guys that I lived with in the house would say, let me get a piece of that whatever, dog. And it's like, no, this is mine. I'm still going to be hungry when I finish this. So large pizza and then maybe a couple extra slices easily. I don't think I ever did. I hadn't done the all-you-can-eat pizza that whole lot, but we had a place in Auburn called Brand X, and it was like $6.99 for a large or something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous. I think they had like 2 larges for $10, and my roommate and I, we would knock that thing out. 2 large pizzas, $10, get them in there. We both knock them out, and probably still be hungry trying to look for some ice cream or something.
So easily a pizza and a half is what you're saying, probably.
I don't know about easily pizza and a half. Large easy, and then maybe go a large pizza, a couple extra slices, no problem.
Cole Cubelic, our guest here on 3 and Out. Cole, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. Cole Cubelic, our guest here on 3 and Out, talking Super Bowl, talking Auburn as Brian Harsin getting ready for his first campaign. Really, I think went about it the right way, Ben, in this day and age where you look at the teams that are successful, it's as much about offensive, defensive coordinator as it is the head coach. And he went out and got 2 guys that are very good at the coordinator spot. Mike Bobo can call offense. Derek Mason, before becoming the head coach at Vanderbilt, which, again, Vanderbilt, you're limited what you can do. But even at Vanderbilt, The dude can coach some defense. I mean, he can coach some defense. Went out and made some very good hires there at his coordinator spots.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, two guys that are well respected in the SEC. Kevin, when you look at what you know that Mike Bobo's going to run. He's going to want to run the football. Derek Mason, nobody's been able to go out there and develop talent. I mean, people talk about guys under Derek Mason. Zach Cunningham, 2021, led the NFL in tackles. Where did he play? He played at Vanderbilt. So I do think that, but it's going to come down to Bo Nix. And I do agree with Cole, Kevin. If they can get some offensive line to kind of, reestablish, that line of scrimmage, they got a chance to go out there in a SEC West that's only getting better, with Texas A&M getting better, in Alabama. If you haven't heard, they're pretty good. They're pretty good at football too.
Certainly. We've got more to come here on 3 and Out on this Tuesday, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Welcome back to 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin and Ben. No BJ today. He will be back with us later in the week, but we're glad you are here with us. A lot to get to on the show. We'll hear from home team Brandon Leake later in the show, plus one of the all-time GOAT debates Ben and I will have later in the show as well. But some baseball news out there in case you missed it. The Braves set to start next week, spring training, next Wednesday, as a matter of fact. Pitchers and catchers will be back. Players and the Major League Baseball front office, the execs of Major League Baseball, they come to an agreement for 2021 health and safety protocols that they agreed upon. 75 players, training camp, 26-player opening day roster, which is back what it was supposed to be. Last year they had, 30. No limit on the number of pitchers. So obviously something happens. You have some guys ready. 5 taxi squad players that can travel with the team. So if someone were to get a COVID test or what have you, they can go right there and grab a player available to play. 28 players maximum assigned to AAA or an alternate site to be able to be brought up at a moment's notice. Obviously, Ben, I think the goal would be the farther the season goes along, the less you have to worry about this stuff as the vaccinations and things get completely rolled out. But obviously, there you go. 7-inning doubleheaders in case they have to make up games. And on the extra innings, runner on second base will start extra innings as well. Braves will play their first spring training game on the 27th of this month. So a couple of weeks away, and they'll be back playing spring training ball. But maybe a good thing that they were able to hammer at least this out relatively easy to say, hey, what is it going to take? The NBA didn't even really do it easy. If you remember, Ben, they were like, hey, what are the health and safety protocols? LeBron and those guys are saying, look, we're not going to do this if you don't tell us. MLB and the MLBPA seemingly got this done pretty quickly.
Yeah, I get this. I do give MLB and MLBPA a lot of credit. I think you're talking about a players association that's usually, I don't know, very, very like passive aggressive, Kevin. I think it's a good word when you talk about being able to understand, hey, you have PA next to you because you are the players association. Don't just take what the MLB gives you. But I think it kind of shows that, you know, last year, Kevin Giles was like, look, I mean, we barely had a season last year. I mean, the worst commissioner in professional sports saved us. I mean, so that's not a good look for us. So getting a deal done shows that the two sides can come together. Now, I don't know how that's going to transpire 2022, but I do like it, Kevin, that, you know, they're taking some things saying, look, 26 guys on the opening day roster. I think having the 28 guys at a neutral site to where you can bring guys up. And Kevin, I was talking to you about this before the show. The 7 innings, if there is a doubleheader, guys are more accepting of this now. Like now it's like, look, man, we're probably going to have some cancel. Well, let me say, not going to have some cancelizations. We're going to have to make it up. But having 7 innings, it shows that this is what's frustrating if you're a fan. It shows that MLB, MLBPA, when it suits everybody, we can get a deal done. Like we can get a deal done. Surprise, surprise. But the problem about that is you know, we want to have a season past 2021, but all we have is the here and now. So I do give credit. You know, if I'm going to criticize MLB, which I do, I'm going to definitely give them credit when they get it done. And Kevin, I commend those guys because now the big name players, the Mike Trouts of the world, the Clayton Kershaw, they're speaking for the league minimum guys, which that's most of MLB. They got it done. So, and you know, a lot of those guys talking to their accountants like, look, man, I want to know when this money hit because we lost a lot of money last year trying to make up a season. But I give a lot of credit to MLB as a whole, understanding that they want to get to all the games and they want to be able to have, you know, insurance policies. So I know this time last year, Kevin, we were talking about that no minor league. I mean, all that stuff got shut down. This year, hey, y'all boys need to be ready. Y'all are going to play this year, some way, shape, or form. So if you hear a doubleheader, they're gonna be like, "Look, I'm not running back out there. I don't care. You better go get some." Well, from my understanding, Kevin, when it's a doubleheader, they know ahead of time, right? They'll know,
right? Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I think the concern is from the Players Association, and rightfully so, is that hey, we're playing 162 games. Depending on how it goes, are we going to end up with 28, 30, 35 doubleheaders on the schedule if it goes real bad? And, you know, then you end up playing a lot of games in a shrunken period of time, which burns through your pitching staff. And obviously the 7-inning deal saves you 4 innings a day worth of pitching if you play a doubleheader. So that's something I think they were concerned about. Certainly the teams are concerned about, hey, I don't want to have to sit here and run through all my pitching if you want to be competitive, at least in the long run. So that kind of stuff just made sense. And maybe this is some some common ground, as you said, to look ahead towards the offseason when they have to redo the CBA anyway, and say, look, there are some things we agree on. Let's just agree on them and get it done and move on to the stuff that we feel passionate about in terms of the MLBPA and MLB, because I think coming out of all this, you do not want to be that league that shuts down right now. Everybody's lost money. Everybody understands that. Everybody's trying to make the best of it. You do not want to be that league where lots of people have lost jobs. Lots of places aren't allowed to be open the way they want to be. A lot of places have had to fire people because they haven't been able to be open. You don't want to be that league that says, look, we play baseball for a living and we can't agree on how to play. We're not playing. Don't want to be that league. I don't care if you're Major League Baseball, the NBA, NFL, and you don't want to be that league right now that says we are not. It's bad enough under normal circumstances when you don't play. Certainly don't want to be a league that doesn't get to play when you're coming out of something like we've been through the last year.
Absolutely. And the thing is, we talk about sports, Kevin, last year that benefited. I mean, NASCAR, even with in the midst of controversy, did more for their sport than I think anybody did last year. And I think when you talk about baseball, it's one of those sports to where, look, I mean, you play a lot of games, we understand. And I think the reason why they could take the loss last year, Kevin, because everybody felt it. Everybody said, okay, this is across the board. Yep, everybody's gonna lose, meaning all 30 professional sports teams in baseball are going to lose. But I will say, when I look at this 26-man roster, Kevin, when it says unlimited amount, no limit on the pitching, how does that play into a factor? Because you talk about some of these teams got really, really great starting pitching. Some of them got not so good, bullpens. How do the teams utilize that? Because they already factored in. There's going to be some double headers. I got to be able to protect my greatest asset. I guess game in and game out.
Well, I think if I'm an American League team, I view it differently than a National League team because there's no DH this year in the National League. If I have the DH, means I probably don't need my bench really at all for any reason. I may not need to carry as many guys. Maybe a catcher, maybe one or two other guys. I can sneak an extra pitcher or two out there in that bullpen. So I think it'll be interesting to see how roster construction takes place with these teams as they move forward, knowing that, hey, I'm not capped at, say, 13 pitchers. I might be able to sneak an extra one or two out there and cut down on my bench in order to give me some extra pitching flexibility. So I think in the National League, might not be able to get away with it. The American League, you probably can because you have that DH. Don't need your bench as much. But baseball will be back next week. Pitchers and catchers on Wednesday will be back for the Braves. Braves first spring training game, February the 27th against the Baltimore Orioles. We will certainly look forward to that. And when we come back, we'll look at this Braves roster. Of course, the Marcell Ozuna signing, but this Braves team stacked. Just how stacked, we'll tell you when we come back. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you were with us here all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Plenty to get to on the show. Home team Brandon Leak will join us coming up in hour number 2. We'll take 3 around the corner as well. But we looked at the Braves reporting next week. First spring training game coming up into the month against Baltimore. You look at this lineup now with Marcell Ozuna in it, Ben. You got to have 3 pretty legitimate MVP candidates. People forget, obviously, last year, shortened season. But the season before, Ronald Acuna, full year, 40-40 nearly. A lot of folks thought he could have done it last year had they played the full season. Marcell Ozuna led the league in homers and RBI in a 60-game season. He certainly could do it. I don't see any reason why he won't be a productive guy given that lineup in front of him. And, of course, the reigning MVP is already in the lineup in Freddie Freeman. Now, to me, you got 3 legit guys who, depending on the type of season they have, could be that MVP in the National League here.
Yeah, and you hope they can put it all together, Kevin, as you mentioned. And you look at when you look at a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr., I mean, the thing is, I know the hype has been ridiculous, but his first season, full season, he almost went 40-40. Had a shortened season last year. Freddie Freeman finally got his just dues. I mean, and I like the fact that people are gonna say, well, it was about time. Freddie Freeman has been about as solid as a player can be. I mean, dare I say, and I'm not saying that resumes are the same, but when I think of a Freddie Free, just from a solid baseball player like a Derek Jeter, they just solid in what they do. They don't have bad seasons. They come up clutch when you need them. And obviously last year, Kevin, I'm happy that the Braves and Alex Anthopoulos and those guys were able to re-sign Marcell Ozuna was built to be a Brave. Now, if you're a baseball purist, you don't like all the antics, but I think he had a freaking bobblehead yesterday of him walking around doing the selfie. You hate to play against him, you love to play with him, but I do agree, Kevin. I think one takes the pressure off the other one. The fact that Marcell bats behind Freddie Free, and Freddie Free bats, he comes, a couple of batters behind, Ronald Acuna. How dangerous, Kevin, could you see this team being? I mean, with that line, that's just 3 of them, not even counting the rest of this lineup, to where, as you mentioned, Ronald Acuna Jr., I mean, has there ever been a leadoff hitter as great as he? I mean, you would have to go. I mean, if the type of things he's doing, Freddie Freeman, I mean, he's going to get on base. He's going to get on base. And Marcell, he's swinging for the fences. I ain't trying to get no single or double. I'm trying to leave the yard. Those 3 guys added into the rest of that lineup, Kevin. How dangerous could this lineup be for a Braves team that seems to hopefully bring the momentum from 2020 into 2021?
Yeah, I think you kind of forget, Ozzie Albies played an all-star caliber in there. You've got a solid guy in Travis d'Arnaud hitting in the lineup. I mean, you really get down 7-8 in the lineup before you start saying, well, maybe this is a chance to get somebody who's struggling. I mean, if this thing is going, the Braves, to me, have one of the most dangerous lineups in Major League Baseball. And, again, 3 guys who on their own could carry a team. I mean, we saw it with Ronald Acuna, able to do it. Freddie Freeman's done it a couple of times. Last year, obviously, it paid off for him in an MVP. And I think Marcell Ozuna is the type of guy that, man, he came in last year. You were wondering. Josh Donaldson came in, brought the home run power, brought the attitude, brought kind of like that swagger. The Braves for so long, kind of that buttoned up team. And you had Acuna, Albies kind of bring them out of the shell a little bit. And then Josh Donaldson brought that, hey, if you don't like it, we'll fight. It's fine. He brought that kind of grind to it. And I think Marcell Ozuna is the guy that brought even more to that. And it's easy to inject that into a clubhouse when you're mashing the way he was and producing the way he was. So to me, man, you've got 3 great ball players, each kind of doing it in their own way. But each individually could carry the team if they get in a rough patch. And I think that is so important to have a number of those guys that can do that. And to me, I've seen some, computer projections and things like that say, oh, the Braves are the 3rd or 4th best team in the East. I mean, that's not anybody's pick, but, the computer models, for whatever that's worth, maybe 3rd, 4th in the East. I just don't see it. I think if this team hits, they've got enough pitching to win a bunch of games. I don't care what the Mets have done in the offseason. We've seen and heard that before. Oh, look what the Mets did. Nope. Yeah. I mean, to me, the Braves, until proven otherwise, they've won it, 3 years in a row? They're the team to beat, and they've done nothing. Haven't done as many big moves as other teams, but they've done nothing to hurt themselves as far as the ball club is concerned. I think they're right there again.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, too, the Braves are doing it the Braves way. I understand that I can't appreciate Alex Anthopoulos not worried about what's going on around him. Listen, number one, I'm not working with the same amount of money. Number two, we don't spend that way. You're not going to see a blockbuster, type trade with the Braves because that's going to hurt us. The Braves are always thinking present and future all the time. We believe in the guys in our farm system. We believe in the guys that we're developing. We're going to add a big bat, hopefully a big arm, whether that be in the starting lineup or the bullpen every single year. But I think you said it. I think you said it best, Kevin. When you got a Ronald Acuna and Ozzie, everybody don't got to act like them. Like, dude, we got those guys. They 22, 23, full of energy, but they produce. Both of them already been all-stars. I know BJ thought that the home run, curse was going to hurt Ronald Acuna. Thank God it didn't. Marcell Ozuna, to me, is able to be himself because of Acuna and Ozzie. They'll be like, okay, because if he was by himself, he would be like, okay, Marcell, you got to reel that in. You're not going to see Freddie Freeman doing that. You're not going to see, Ender and those guys doing that. But like I said, the blend of young and kind of like a seasoned veteran, in this lineup, Kevin. And I like I said, I try not to get too high and too low when it comes to these negotiations. When it comes to players, they go where they want to go. But when they said 4 years, 6 months, I said, we got Marcell because Marcell said, look, I want my payday, got it. And I don't want to play on a team that stinks. Check. And I get to be myself. And they it's one thing to be yourself. It's another thing to have freedom to be yourself. When he was on there with Alex Anthopoulos saying, man, what took you so long? I was like, okay, we got our guy. So I believe this Braves lineup, Kevin, is about as dangerous as it get. I don't care if the Mets got Syndergaard and all these guys. They still can't beat the Braves. I know that the Washington Nationals will say something a little different at this point, but I like the Braves' chances, and I think those three guys is only going to make it for maybe a guy we're not even talking about in the lineup for him to go out there and have a scary season because they get to go out there and kind of like let their game come to the forefront.
Yeah, I think the guys you're talking about would be like a Dansby Swanson or Austin Riley. They don't need to be focal points. They can go out there and just do what they need to do, and what they bring to the table can, again, put you over the top. We saw that at times last year with this Braves team. We got so much more to come here on 3 and Out. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We're streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as well. We got a YouTube channel up and running, so you can join us, ESPN Coastal, on YouTube and be a part of 3 and Out. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live at ESPNCoastal.com. Here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you're with us all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. A lot to get to coming up next hour. We'll take three home team. Brandon Leak going to join us. We'll talk Super Bowl with him. What's it going to take for the Falcons to get back in that discussion as well? So he'll join us coming up next hour. But Ben, I know we like to give your Gators a lot of flack for not wanting to leave the state of Florida unless it's to play an SEC game. But Florida added a home game with Notre Dame in home and home. So you got to leave to go to Notre Dame 2031, 2032. They've got road games scheduled at Utah, NC State, Arizona State, Colorado, and Texas in coming years. So props to the Gators there, Ben, for getting with the program and leaving the state of Florida every once in a while to go play a non-conference game.
Hey, shout out to Scott Strickland, athletic director. He definitely be listening to 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network at Pigskin Radio. Just the nice plug. But no, Kevin, I mean, this is the new norm, right? Like we were saying, all right, Florida, no more UCFs and USFs and Samfords and FAUs and FIUs. This now the 2030, 2032, that's coming. That's down the line. But at Utah, at NC State, at Arizona State, at Colorado, at Texas. I mean, Florida has Texas and Notre Dame in 2031 to go along with the LSU crossover and the SEC schedule. But Kevin, I think this is where college football is going. It's a couple of years ago, it's who can reveal. It was the new locker rooms. Florida do it, and Georgia do it, and LSU would do it. Then Alabama said Alabama will be going to USC. I'm like, South Carolina? Nope, the Trojans. And then it just started trickling down. Clemson, Michigan. And I think what happens is, Kevin, is these teams are tired of hearing, oh, well, they don't play this team, or they don't play that team, or what if they would have played this team? Is it going to be weird seeing, North Carolina State, hosting Florida this weekend, Colorado, Utah? I just think that they can't help but get along with that trend. I'm happy for those guys. I mean, when I was in college, I used to see other teams around the country, and I wondered what it would be like to play those teams. So to be able to not just – they're kind of giving a bowl game atmosphere, Kevin, during the season instead of having to wait, especially with the bowl tie-ins now when it comes to these bowl games. I'm happy for them. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to make the debate in college football even bigger. I think it's going to make the college football playoff, depending on hopefully we won't still be at 4 teams in 2031. It'll definitely make that debate hopefully a lot bigger, because I do think, Kevin, number one, some of these are some big. There is no bigger brand in college football than Notre Dame. There is no better brand than Alabama. No bigger brand than Notre Dame. It definitely helps boost because we went to the Georgia Notre Dame game a couple of years ago in Athens, and it was crazy. They unveiling new lights and all kind of craziness. But yeah, Kevin, this is going to be a new norm. But I do feel bad again for those G5 schools that's not going to benefit now, because those 2 or 3 games that they would have had now goes to the Arizona States, Utahs. So once again, Kevin, the rich keep getting richer because, well, if you're at the front of the line, you get top dibs.
Well, I mean, I think what the bottom line is, the way college football is going right now is you have to go out and schedule accordingly. You have to go out and play some quality opponents. You have Georgia going to Notre Dame. Alabama, the last few years, has played in a big game early. LSU has usually played in Texas against somebody the last couple of years. I know BJ has argued play worse people, but I think in try to secure yourself the undefeated. But I think in today's day and age, going and playing good, it doesn't have to be great. Just going and playing good competition on the road is a better thing. You can shake your head all you want, but
no,
it's
you guys, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying you guys are missing the point, as Cody, I think, just nailed his funny bone sitting in pain in the corner of the studio. I don't mean to laugh. I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but a little Schadenfreude.
It's funny, yeah.
Yeah, but no, the point of this whole thing is, Kevin, you got to get ahead of the pack, and when it comes to this 2030 recruiting, right? Those third graders out there are watching what's happening, and they know what's being said. And those folks that are sitting right now learning their multiplication tables, they want to know that they're going to be on the road playing in Austin and in South Bend in the same year. All right, you got to start early. Dan Mullen knows what he's doing.
No, but the thing is, this is going to be the new thing, though, Christian. It used to be, hey, man, who we got this year? Who we got next year? Now it's, man, y'all ain't playing nobody in 2031. Y'all got, I think that kind of, but that's how powerful recruiting is, though. It's the perception of things. Like, if Texas stinks, but you played them out of conference, it looks good because it's Texas. if Utah stinks, but you're big names. If I'm a big brand playing a big brand, the big brand don't got to be good. I can carry the weight if we beat them, but it's not gonna help the BYUs and the Coastal Carolinas of the world, Kevin. But I will say this: I'm looking forward to 2031, 2032. Talking to Vince Young and them boys.
How old are you guys going to be when Florida heads up to South Bend?
Yep.
2032. I will be. Wait a minute. 2032. I will be
a decade from now.
Okay, I will be. Well, I'll be 49. I'll be getting ready to be 49. So
I'll be in my late 30s. That's just horrifying.
Whoa. Not only will you be in your late 30s, you're gonna have a little Christian. I am putting it out right now, and I'm gonna see what you're gonna have to say then.
What are you gonna set the line at for that, Kevin? Like, what's the money line for me having a kid by then?
Oh, I think it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, I'm not. This is a family show.
No, I'm saying, but Ben, you know this. The people who end up.
Oh my God, dude, he rolled his eyes so hard when he said that.
I'm saying the people who end up with children are the ones who protest the most. Usually, they're like,
yeah. But I will say this:
it's never
Did
gonna
you
happen.
protest?
At the time, I was not.
Oh yeah, I was.
Y'all do the worst job of selling kids. I know this is a running
Whoa,
conversation.
whoa.
Like Cody literally just had to miss the Super Bowl because of his children.
Wait. No. Wait a minute. Don't just say it like that. No, Cody missed the Super Bowl because he's a good daddy. Because he said,
right. What is a dad, Ben?
Hey, listen. Hey, this is what a dad did. A dad is a grown man who gonna make sure that his offspring grows up rooting for the same
What do you have to have to be a dad?
What is what?
What do you have to be a dad?
Patience. You have to have a lot of it.
You got a decade. It'll happen.
No. I will say this, Christian. I will say
I have to have a child by the time Florida goes.
No.
I'm saying you probably will.
I'm saying you will because this is the thing, Christian. You want to have a kid young enough to be able to enjoy things with him. If you are a 50-year-old with a 1-year-old, it is not the same.
Put them off to boarding school.
Listen, all I'm saying is this. My dad will be 63 years old this year. He has 10 grandkids. His 1-year-old grandson could care less that he's 62. If he got some water in his cup and Papa don't get up, Papa finna get a rude awakening. Get up when I tell you to get up, Papa. you won't catch this juicy juice.
A lot of third graders right now pretty hyped that they might get a chance to play.
Christian, just be honest, Christian. This is the thing, Christian. Just be honest. Christian, you know you want to have a little, so you can sit there and say, no, we say go Dogs. That's what we say. We don't do that other stuff.
No, it's one of those horrifying things, right? Because it's just karma comes back around. I know if I have a kid, he's going to be a Florida fan.
It's horrifying. That's all I say. We got more to come. It'll Pick 3 right around the corner. It's 3 and out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, BJ Bennett out. He'll be back with us tomorrow on the program. Hour 2, we've got home team Brandon Leak will join us from the home team at Hamilton Show. We'll talk about the Super Bowl and what in the world will it take for the Falcons to get there. The Bucs did it defense. They did have the GOAT, but they did it with defense, running the football, and Tom Brady making enough plays and play actions to keep the Chiefs off balance. What do the Falcons need to do? We'll talk to the home team Brandon Leak about that coming up in just a little bit. But it's 4:00. Let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. That's Christian's favorite. This is like your favorite holiday, the National Pizza Day today.
I mean, I don't know.
Up there.
I don't know if it's my favorite holiday. I don't even know if pizza is my
Top
favorite
5?
food. And
Might be.
there's a day for every food. Like National Burger Day might be above National Pizza Day for me, but that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to compare national holidays. We're here to talk in honor.
But this kind of your thing. In Take 3, you always hey, it's National whatever day. Yes, because you put it in there every day.
Is it my thing?
So Ben, today is National.
There's literally calendars that have the national holidays. So is it my thing?
Yeah, you put it on the show every day. Ben's National.
Do I do it every day? Was there one on there yesterday?
Yes.
No, there wasn't.
National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
No, it sure wasn't. That's in August, I think. I know these things.
It's not his thing, but he knows when Cookie Day is.
Yeah, and there's 6 of them. So.
Without even looking it up.
Not to be confused with International Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, which is in March.
Yeah.
No, we're honoring National Pizza Day today because it is an important day.
Yeah,
all kinds of specials out there. Go support your local pizza shops. But guys, I got some important questions for you. Take 1. What is the best style of crust on a pizza?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, for me, it's got to be thin crust because the thing is, I used to be a deep dish guy, but then I started realizing, man, that bread it come at you real quick. You know, Kevin, you know how you start talking with it in your mouth, oh man, I need that thin.
And please describe to us what you mean by the bread coming at you real fast.
The bread coming at you real fast because it's like Christian. It's like the Krispy Kreme donut challenge that we haven't done yet. Everybody think I can get all 12 of them. Yeah, you get to by number 6.
Then I'll do that tomorrow.
Getting real thick.
Christian is the guy in peak pandemic threw down whatever that McDonald's challenge was. Almost passed out, but he did it.
I was floating.
I was gonna say it's Christian. It's like them last couple of bites, and we going Christian. And you go, don't talk to me. I got to get this down. So that's what I mean when the bread coming at you real fast. You have dreams of little bread people laughing at you.
You were feeling bad at the end.
I was floating, but I will do the crispy thing. I don't know. I'll either swing by a Krispy Kreme or I'll go to Publix and pick up a Krispy Kreme. Ben, am I allowed to microwave them?
Nope. No. You're not getting in
there. You only have to chew them when they're microwaved.
Because I know about the whole hot milk in your
fresh Krispy Kreme. They do that.
Yes, right.
So you getting the ones that's been out for about 45 minutes. They nice and room temperature.
Why can't I do the fresh baked ones?
Because Christian, you're not going to get me with that. Okay, you want to do it? No, you're not getting any competitive advantage.
All right, Ben, I'll do it on camera
I feel
tomorrow.
like I shouldn't do it, and I won't because it's probably not good. But I can house a dozen. Come on.
You can house it. All right, it's harder than you think. All right.
And we'll think of something you'll have to give me after I do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that won't be a problem. And another reason why you want to do the crispy, I'm a folder guy, so I like to fold my pizza. I like the little easy fold.
I respect that. That's an East Coast thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different crusts for all different kinds of occasions, right? Like I can respect a deep dish from time to time.
Kevin, you can respect them all.
I can, but probably my favorite is and Christian will laugh because we've talked about this for it's 3 or 4 days about just the way I am, but a nice crust with butter Parmesan just all over it. Oh, that's good.
That's all of them.
Not necessarily. Some of them put the oregano and all other stuff. No, I don't need all that. Just nice butter with. When they brush it. It's all brushed on there. You can see the sheen on the crust. Mm-hmm. If not, if it's all dry, I usually just leave that, and that's my dog enjoys that. That's a good treat. She likes that, but
that's why you get the garlic sauce on the side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the GOAT is New York style. New York style pizza is the business because it kind of gives you what Ben's talking about, where it's already pretty thin, but it gives you a little bit. As your face gives you a little bit more crust, and the important thing about it is when you hold it up, it can't fold. If it folds, it's not cooked enough. It's got to stay nice and straight.
That tastes great.
That's the best.
Speaking
crust.
of like pizza challenges and stuff, like could we do one of those for like the size of a semi tire? You know, like one of those pizza challenges. You get a couple guys like.
oh, me and you.
Oh yeah. I mean, even if we don't make it, Kevin, it's still worth doing it. Like, well, we're not gonna make it, right? Yeah.
No, that's
worth
fine.
doing
Yeah,
it.
it is worth it.
It's fine. Yeah, like listen, winning don't mean you always gonna come.
Well, this is important. This is important because if we do that, take two. What are your favorite toppings on pizza? Not even favorite toppings. What's your favorite combo in terms of what you order on top of your pizza?
Okay, for me, again, give me bacon and pepperoni. Like bacon and pepperoni for me is like the go-to, Kevin. Now, I know that because in my household, Christian, I know once again, disclaimer, not gonna help Christian want to have a baby anytime soon. My children know that daddy loves pepperoni, but it's going to be gone. And I can make it. So for me, the bacon with the pepperoni kind of keeps my kid away. They go, ew, what is that? So that keeps them away, so I can actually enjoy it. So for me, bacon and pepperoni, and I like the big pepperoni and the little pepperoni. I want the big one and the small one with the bacon, and I'm good.
The sliced and the diced.
Oh my goodness.
The cubed bacon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mine is. I mean, pretty simple. Just meat it up.
Any kind of meat?
Yeah, just throw it all on there. Yeah.
Well, any kind of meat that had feet, right? Like it can't be like you don't want anchovies.
Right. No, I want that.
Is anchovies
Like your
considered meat?
typical basic, like meat lovers pizza. I'm all about that. I love that.
All right.
Your bacon, ham, pepperonis, sausage. Oh yeah.
Ground beef on there.
Yeah.
Get wild.
Kevin gonna pick it up and look at it and go, take a picture because it's about to go now. Take a picture of this.
I told Cody, I'm an equal opportunity pizza eater. It doesn't matter like what you put in front of me. If it's on pizza dough with sauce and cheese, I'm probably gonna eat
Now,
it.
if we go like a la carte, I get to put on there like specifically.
That's literally
like-
what I just asked you.
Okay, well, I'm saying, but normally you don't do that. Like when you call it the fast food joint, you can't really do that. You have to go to a certain place. But like, I really like chicken pepperoni meatball. Like that's just a good
Ooh.
combination. Yeah,
Kevin, getting wild with it.
but it's still all the meats on there.
I
Little garlic.
50% of the time I will order Hawaiian pizza. I love Hawaiian pizza. Ham and pineapple.
Pepperoni has no business being on
You
pizza.
mean pineapple?
Pineapple, yes.
Yeah, ham and pineapple is just chef's kiss, amazing. But my favorite pizza, especially if it's done right, like a wood fire grill kind of or wood fire oven kind of place, is a margarita pizza. Just the
Now I was gonna say, Christian, when I lived in Nashville, I used to get a white pizza. It just had the white like sauce with like nothing, but and it was.
Well, see, that's a little different. See, what I'm talking about, you still get the red sauce on there.
Uh-huh.
They put fresh basil, fresh cut tomatoes, and fresh mozzarella on top, and drop it in there. And so it just kind of.
Oven, listen, wood oven pizza. If you ain't pointing at the chef going, dude, you got you something with this. It's like, hell, you got
Who makes your white pizza can be very good.
No, I mean, look again, equal opportunity pizza eater here. There's no wrong answers here, guys.
Pizza challenge. We're gonna just get a whole bunch of pizzas, and we gonna.
Are you guys ranch dippers? Like, do you dip your pizza in ranch?
No.
Yes.
The pizza.
Yes.
Oh, see, there you go. There we found one.
Disrespect. Much like well done. Putting ketchup on your steak. Ranch is disrespecting the pizza.
No. I'm telling you right now, you dip it in some ranch.
You don't care about the pizza if you do that.
Come on home then. Come on home.
But I mean, I'll give Kevin credit. You're pretty consistent with this because you don't dip your wings either, do you?
No. I go. If I wanted to eat ranch, I would order ranch. I want to taste the flavor of the wings.
Order ranch?
Yeah.
What do you eat ranch with?
I don't.
Because you don't eat
Right.
I don't even know.
If I did eat salad, I'd have to get ranch to cover up the fat.
You just have a nice sipping.
Can I get ranch with my Can I get ranch with my salad a lot? No, just bring out.
No, that's nothing Kevin's ever said.
Yeah,
Kevin's
my dinner
never,
is salad already, so I go straight to the main course.
Kevin is the actual version of Hank Hill, right? Like he said, Bobby, vegetables are not to be trusted.
That's right.
That's Kevin. All right, take three.
Right.
Take three. And I'm assuming this is all like back when we were
of course,
17 to like 24, right? What is the most amount of pizza you have ever eaten in one sitting?
Okay, so going back to my college days. I'm not gonna say the name of the pizza joint. I'm not gonna say the name of the pizza joint. But the pizza was
the other thing we refer to as a joint.
The pizza place.
Burger joint.
I will say this.
I don't know if I've ever said burger joint.
Yeah, burger joint.
This is the thing. The pizza, dare I say, was very, very, very.
No, you don't want to go to the joint.
No, yeah. You don't want to go to the joint. As long as it got to have something like pizza,
the Ohio State
beer,
joint
on the front. I mean, they did have a great commercial in the Super Bowl. Hey man, you about to go to jail? Hey man, have a beer, man, because it's gonna be your last one for a while. No, it was a pizza joint, and the pizza was really, really cheap. So you know, if you've been to college, you were balling on a budget. So me and the roommate was like, hey man, let's just get them 3 larges. So we got the 3 larges. He got his favorite one. I got my favorite, and we split the middle one. I got through mine pretty fast. That's when my metabolism was the truth back then. I mean, just went through that first one. And the roommate, I was being respectful. So Christian, I ate a full large and a half of another large. Not because I couldn't finish the second one.
Yep.
Because you know how it is, Christian, when you got roommates. I probably ate some of his food before and I shouldn't. So I'm like, let me try to do the right thing. Now I'm not gonna say it survived through the night.
Oh, that's me when I eat pizza. It's at what point do you start feeling shame? Like that, and obviously when you're 18, you don't feel shame. You eat as much as you want to. It's fine. Now I don't stop when I'm full. I stop when I'm ashamed of myself.
There's a certain point where you're like, I really shouldn't, but
Like Kevin, what was the last time?
So good.
You answer about it. What was the last time you were actually full from pizza? Like where you couldn't go back and eat more?
Oh, a couple days ago. I mean,
You were full?
yeah.
Like you could have gone back.
No, I mean, I did work, but no, I would say when you put this question to us earlier in the show before the show, I was like, does buffet pizza count? Because sometimes the buffet pizza is small and thin and all
because
that stuff.
I'm going to say
back in the day, I've been up,
slices,
18, 20 slices, stuff like that.
But
Plus
the little 2-inch slices where you go to a real pizza place, they like 6 of them create.
Yeah,
one slice.
I'd feel comfortable. I mean, we've all housed a large in our time. I mean, that's that's happened. It is what it is. It also depends on if you count crust. Like if you don't eat the crust, I could probably go another piece after that in my time. But if I eat the crust, I'm probably now.
Whoa, yeah. I don't like those. I don't like not eating the crust on your pieces. Like people that don't know how to eat wings. Look at all that meat on that bone, man. Get all that
there's no meat on the bone. It's just.
But I will say this, Christian. I will say this. I went to a party before in college, and the best food in the world is free food. They had like a bunch of pieces in there. And I knew I had ate way too much when a guy said to me, quote, "Hey dude, you ain't the only one here." I said, I'm sitting there with a piece in my hand, like, man, what you mean? I'm trying to get right. So I might have house popped 2 larges that day because I just remember going back. I was eating pizza like it was finger food. I was tearing that.
Well, none of us are small individuals.
No,
right?
but if you're eating a thin crust pizza, then
I think we're comfortable saying we're on the 200-pound plus.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're eating a thin crust pizza, you can. A large is like easy. I mean, a thin crust large. Oh yeah,
thin crust large. That's nothing. That doesn't count. No, that doesn't count. But
I'm talking full.
We're talking deep.
Pre-COVID, I was at an apartment and we ordered 3 18-inch pizzas. And I'm looking around and everybody has one pizza that they're just kind of working on. And I'm just like, when is it acceptable for me to go back for the 4th slice? It's maybe again, maybe it's just us with the metabolism, the 200-pound plus club, but
there's no metabolism over here.
I can put that down. Do some work.
Chris, you like me. I don't like prissy, modest eaters. I'm gonna be myself. I'm not. The conversation is not that important. That is my stomach growling.
When the entire pizza is almost gone and everybody else is still working on their first one, I'm feeling self-conscious.
Hold on, Christian. Have you ever done this? Y'all at a party, the piece is really good, and you look over for that last slice, but you glance and see, oh, this dude's gonna go get it too. I'm like, excuse me, I got to make a beeline.
Ben, see ball, get ball. All right, that's all I know.
I mean, I already know Cody is like a pizza eater. I don't know if Cody. Hopefully Cody ain't went vegan on me or something, man. Hopefully he still eat pizza.
Yeah, Cody used to eat an unhealthy amount of pizza.
Now he's put it away. We got more to come. National Pizza Day. Get out and enjoy it. We've got more to come. Home Team Brand Elite going to join us when we return here on 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're with us here on 3 and Out. Super Bowl concluding on Sunday. Tom Brady wins another one. Falcons fans have watched the Bucs win 2. They're still trying to win 1. Our next guest certainly knows that feeling. Home team, Brandon Leak, co-host of Home Team in Hamilton. They're in Atlanta. Home team, Brandon Leak joins us on 3 and Out. Home team, welcome. How are you?
The Saints have a Super Bowl, and the Buccaneers now have 2.
Yeah, it's totally depressing, as you say. But you look at Tom Brady, it seems like as much as people, it seemed like for whatever reason, this one I've seen a lot more people that had the hate on for Tom Brady say, well, man, now he's got 7. Like at some point, you just have to say this is getting a little ridiculous. He is the GOAT.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, Usain Bolt, the Greek god Zeus, whoever you want to put him next to, he's right there with them. And if not for a great defensive line by the New York Giants and 2 great catches by the New York Giants, this guy could have 9 Super Bowl rings. The hating doesn't work, and you just have to pay homage and respect to a guy who is just wired a little bit differently. He doesn't let people down, and he finds a way to bring his effect and his leadership in to wherever place he goes. And that's a team that was led by Jameis Winston last year and over the last few years that wasn't even going to the playoffs. And this year, Tom Brady shows up for 1 year. Didn't do it all by himself. You certainly have to give that defensive credit. But at the end of the day, he's the guy who did his part too with 3 touchdowns, his leadership, what he was able to bring to the coaching staff as well. And you just have to give the guy all of the credit he is due.
And Brandon, have you ever seen a player that's had this big of an impact, in team sports, not named Michael Jordan, when you look at the fact that everybody was thinking, yeah, he was doing it in New England, but he also had Bill Belichick, but then he moves on to the NFC. Yes, I do agree he didn't do it by himself, but it's the mentality that he brings, it's the accountability that he demands, and it's the production that he shows week in and week out, and definitely on the biggest stage.
I think winners just have certain traits. And he brought that trait to a franchise that typically doesn't win. And I think, it was the perfect piece, the icing on the cake. They had a good defensive line. They had really good linebackers. They had really good wide receivers. They had a decent running game. And then they added those pieces with free agency. I think this is a tale, not just of Tom Brady, but really how a lot of teams in the NFL could do things if you don't have a whole bunch of bad money spent. They were able to, get Tom Brady into a place because they had a really good setup, a good coach, a good coaching staff, a good defense, good players, flexibility to go get Leonard Fournette and flexibility to go get Antonio Brown. And you look at the people that, scored in the Super Bowl. It was Rob Gronkowski, who looked like he was done with football, Antonio Brown, who, people thought football was done with him, and Leonard Fournette, who was done, and the Jacksonville Jaguars were done with him. So having your set up where you don't have bad money spent, you have good players, you've done good job drafting, and you've got a coach with a good coaching staff. It's almost like a storybook that just came to a great ending if you are a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
And home team, pretty much everything you just said, maybe outside of the coaching, now that the Falcons just got a new one, is the antithesis of way the Falcons are set up. They don't have a lot of flexible cash to spend. Their defense isn't necessarily all that great. They don't have an excellent running game, and they really have to rely just on Matt Ryan and those weapons in the pass game.
I think the lesson to be learned looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now and the Falcons right now is you don't want this word in your organization. Can't. You don't want a situation where you can't go and get free agents. You can't move a wide receiver or a quarterback. You can't figure out how to close out games. And there's no can't with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the scary part is these guys are $22 million, I think $25 million under the salary cap. It could be the case where if it is a nightmare like it's been for me over the last 48 hours, they could be setting up for a run, and we might be looking at the beginning of a Tampa Bay dynasty if Tom Brady decides that next year won't be it. He might want to play till he's 45 or 46 years old.
And Brandon, what does that mean for a team like, the Atlanta Falcons, to where, obviously Fontenot was brought in because look at what he's done in New Orleans, spending his entire career there. obviously, I think I do agree. Not having the word "can" in your organization is definitely going to only help it or hinder it. But what can he do with a roster that is not that far off? People be looking at what hasn't happened in Atlanta, but it's not that your roster is that far off, and it's not that you are lacking talent.
And that's a fair point. There are two trains of thought. That the Falcons have no talent, they don't have enough. You need to blow it up, and you need to start over. And then there's some that are saying, no, you had talent, you've just blown it away with poor coaching, not adding in and coloring in the right pieces. And I think there are arguments on both sides. I mean, the truth is, you look at what the Falcons have invested on the right side of the line, and Caleb McGarry and Chris Lindstrom. You look at Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, whatever his state of his career he's in, and Matt Ryan. That should be enough to keep you in games and not have you losing close games at the rate that the Falcons have been losing. That being said, you still can't run the football. You still can't get to the quarterback. You still can't get free agents to come in here and do a job where you're chasing quarterbacks around. I mean, you look at what Jason Pierre-Paul and Ndamukong Suh have been able to do. The Falcons, because of their salary cap situation, can't even go out and get guys like that. So, yeah, you could say that there's not a lot of talent here. There is talent here. The question is, will Terry Fontenot, the Falcons' new GM, and Arthur Smith, the new head coach, figure out how to get the right pieces in place until they can figure out what they're going to do with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones?
Ultimately, what do you think that is? Obviously, the draft coming down the road is a chance for them to bring in a big-time player. But ultimately, what is the thinking with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones? Do they, or more specifically, their contracts, stand in the way of moving forward?
Well, I think the easier player to move would be Julio Jones. But then that begs the question, what happens to Matt Ryan if Julio Jones is not there? Again, two trains of thought. You could say, well, Julio Jones only played in 9 games and Matt Ryan was still able to throw the ball down the field, but the Falcons just aren't the same dynamic duo without Julio Jones there. And that's the question. I'm thinking that Arthur Smith is a football coach. Looking at his resume, he's a guy that likes to run the football. You saw what he did with Derrick Henry. You saw what he did with his tight ends, and they were running 2 tight ends. Their tight ends in Tennessee didn't get a lot of credit. Their tight ends scored more touchdowns than Julio Jones did, and our tight ends did last year combined. So he's an old school football coach. You're going to have to run the ball as Matt Ryan gets a little bit older, because I think some of Matt Ryan's deficiencies are because he's shell-shocked. He's been brutalized over the last 6-7 years. He sees ghosts sometimes, and that impacts his ability in clutch situations to make some really good throws. So Arthur Smith, I think, will be a guy who wants to run the football. It might be a little bit boring. Maybe Falcons football becomes boring, but if boring adds up to some wins, I think the Falcon fan base will certainly take that.
Brandon, I was always taught when it comes to professional sports, your goal is to either set your team up in the present to beat the team that's current, or you make sure that you put yourself in a position to keep pressure on the team that's the best in the league. For the Atlanta Falcons, that is a team in their division in the Tampa Bay Bucks. How close is Atlanta, to keep pace with a team like Tampa? And do they got the necessary pieces right now to, dare I say, not just compete for the division, but win the division in 2021?
I don't think so. I think they're way behind Tampa. They might be a little bit behind Carolina, because Carolina, got their new coach this year. They already had one draft with their coach. They went all defense in Carolina. I think the big question mark will be the Saints. They are in big salary cap problems. They have big salary cap problems. There's some projections where they could be $100 million over the cap with only 46 players signed. Drew Brees is trying to help them out by reducing his salary to help out on his way out of the NFL, but it still won't be enough. I think that the Falcons, their salvation will come when they build up their defensive line, when they're able to chase quarterbacks around. And if Matt Ryan is here, I think it's going to take a couple of years. I think if Matt Ryan is here at 36 and 37, and is around for it, okay, we'll see what he has left. If not, they need to set things up for whoever the next quarterback is to have a defense that can get out there and help win some games, and allow a quarterback not to have every single game come down to the last drive and the last possession of the game.
So given some of that, home team Brandon Leak joins us here on 3 and Out. Where are you looking at in the draft? A lot of thoughts that maybe the Falcons go quarterback early with some of what you're saying. If it's different philosophy, do you go defense with that first pick in the first round?
Well, I'm in the crew. I think you need to start over. You need to reside the field, tear up all of the weeds, and really start over. You can't do that with Matt Ryan and $40 million that you have to pay him. The hit that you would take in dead money, just wouldn't work out. There aren't too many trade partners that could absorb that, and you still have to pay some penalty for that down the line. I think you're going to have to go with Matt Ryan this year. If Justin Fields is there at 4, I think that's going to be a hard sell to the Falcons fan base. Why you didn't take him? Now, the silver lining is you got some new guys coming in, and you're going to have to trust their assessment, their scouting, and they would have to give a very good explanation of why they didn't do that. But if it happens where Justin Fields falls to number 4, I would say go ahead and grab your quarterback, even if he doesn't play this year, and just kind of get ready for the future. If that's not the case, then you lost a bunch of games. You've had a problem protecting Matt Ryan. You've had a problem running the ball. Why don't you get the best player at number 4? So why don't you just go ahead and get Penei Sewell, big tackle out of Oregon, and go ahead and let him be the anchor for your offensive line for the next decade. It's not a sexy pick. One player is not going to save you, but it will just be time to just start making some football picks that make you tough and make you a championship contender somewhere in the next 4 or 5 years.
So, Brandon, you telling me that you telling me? I mean, obviously, with Fontenot being in the front office, but you still got the Rich McKay effect. Do you think that that's going to hinder Fontenot really going out there and getting the guy? Because I was always told that the GMs pick the players and the coaches coach the players. But Rich McKay has obviously got some say so when it comes to that decision making process. Does he hinder Fontenot going out there getting the best guy because he wants to have his opinion, kind of like Noda, when it comes to this process?
No, Rich McKay needs to just sit this one out. Take a knee, keep his mouth buttoned. He's had his run in his reign. They like him in the organization, and there are other things with the league that maybe he helps out with, and maybe some financial situations outside of just salary cap. But he needs to move out of the way. This needs to be a Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith production from start to finish, and let them do whatever they need to do. And that means if they need to keep people that fan base might not like, fine. If they need to cut people that might upset the fan base or, anybody in the organization wouldn't like, so be it. You need to give these guys a complete clean slate to come in here and do what they need to do, because they're the people who've been running the ball, Arthur Smith. They're the people who've been a part of a championship organization, Terry Fontenot, not the guys who've been in the building for the Falcons the last ever.
Home Team, Brandon Leak, our guest here on 3 and Out Home Team. We appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Anytime, guys.
Home Team, Brandon Leak, co-host of Home Team in Hamilton. They're in Atlanta, joining us here on 3 and Out. We've got much more to come here on this Tuesday all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live at ESPNCoastal.com. Welcome back to 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you. We're just talking with home team Brandon Leak about the Super Bowl. And I know, obviously, Ben, people love Tom Brady, hate Tom Brady. They like certain players and don't. But, every year, certain guys finally get that ring. Who are players you were happy to finally get that ring and win a Super Bowl when Tampa Bay won it this past weekend?
Really, really excited for two Nebraska guys. First being Ndamukong Suh. When you look at him coming out, being the second overall pick, just being able to go through the bumps and the bruises. I mean, he was the premier interior defensive lineman when he first came into the league. Obviously, things didn't work out in Detroit. It became like more of a journeyman and ended up going to Miami and ended up going to Tampa. I think what happens is, in a guy like Ndamukong Suh, we forget just how dominant he was when he first came into the league, how dominant he was when he was in college. I'm just happy that he was able to finally go to a team that he was able to put it all together. But then I want to go with the guy that was drafted by the Tampa Bay Bucs, that's Lavonte David, also out of Nebraska, a guy that's really, really, really been a bell cow, like as far as like the linebacker position, because he's been a guy that's been flat out getting it done. I know that he's taken a backseat to a guy like Devin White, but Lavonte David's been doing it since he set foot in the National Football League. When people talk about having the best tandem of linebackers in football right now, well, Lavonte David been doing it. Now, they got similar production to when Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis were both with the San Francisco 49ers. And for me, number three, I'm really, really happy for a guy like Leonard Fournette, because once again, Leonard Fournette got drafted, 4th or 5th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and people kept saying, oh, he wasn't the guy we thought he was going to be. Well, what did they have? They didn't have nothing around him. Got let go for nothing. They literally cut nothing. They got nothing in return for a 4th overall pick. He goes, obviously he didn't lead the team in rushing, but that just let guys know that sometimes when you get put in a position to where I can just go out there and flourish and I don't got to be the focal point, you got a shot to go out there and be really, really good. Did he blow you away with his numbers? No, but when the run game, he kept it balanced, and then playoff Lenny is a real thing, not what Paul George called himself. No, really, playoff Lenny was able to go out there and get it done. And another guy too, a guy that's Kevin, that's really, really had a really, really incredible career. It's Mike Evans. Mike Evans has 1,000-yard seasons every season he's had to deal with Jameis his whole life until this year. So, and he's the guy that's willing to give money back to restructure his contract to bring guys back. So them two men from Nebraska, Ndamukong Suh, Lavonte David, playoff Lenny, and obviously Mike Evans. Yeah,
Mike Evans, a guy, as you said, has been with Tampa Bay when they were not very good, right? And then playing with Jameis Winston, who, as you like to say, was a member of the 30-30 club.
Oh, yeah, he got his own 30 for 30. Like, it's already built in. He already did it.
Yeah, threw it to his own team as much as he did the other team. But no, you look at a guy who stayed there and has taken the team or been with the team from the bottom, and then insert Tom Brady and they go right to the top. I think those are the guys you really like to see, who it's like, hey, it's one thing if the guy, it's like, hey, let's assume LeBron never won a championship and then he goes to the Lakers and they win. It's like, okay. But it's like, I appreciate the guys who've like, man, I have played on some dog teams and now there's some payoff at the end of the tunnel. You feel good about those guys no matter what sport they're playing, because, you were there when nobody but your mom was pulling for you in the stands. It was that bad. It's like, you are some bad Tampa Bay teams, and now you see the light at the end of the tunnel. And unfortunately, as home team said, they are kind of set up in a position where they could be good for quite some time. And as a Falcons fan, that doesn't make you feel too good. But I think Mike Evans is a guy you feel real good for, who's been part of just a losing team up until this year.
Yeah, and another guy too. We didn't really talk about him enough. Is Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was a guy that obviously had a Hall of Fame career before he even went to the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, you got to give Mike Tomlin a lot of credit, because at one point Mike Tomlin had Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, and they were still able to go out there and be a successful franchise. but Antonio Brown was out of football. Antonio Brown made an impression on Tom Brady in his brief time in New England. Tom Brady went to bat for this man. He came after like the 8th game of the season because he had an 8-game suspension. And to me, Antonio Brown is what Chad Johnson envisioned when he went to the New England Patriots at the end of his career. Went to a Super Bowl, wanted to be a vocal. They lost that Super Bowl, but Antonio Brown shows, number one, that the league will go on without you. Number two, I don't care. Your tolerance your tolerance level is only as good as your production. You ain't been producing like that since you left Pittsburgh, but he did get a chip. I mean, and he did that route he ran against Tyrann Mathieu. Nobody's covering him on that route. It was beautiful. But I am happy for Antonio Brown because for all his fans, for all those people that admire him, that root for him, he gets to have his swan song in a sense, Kevin. But at the same time, too, he's humble because now he realizes as great as you are, ain't nobody dealing with that nonsense. So, but shout out to AB, man. Business is definitely booming at this point for him.
We've got more to come here on 3 and Out. Sean Quinn going to join us coming up in the final hour of the program, and we'll debate who the real GOAT is in the final hour. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you. Glad you're making us a part of your day. And Ben, we bring in our own PJ Zuko. He hasn't made an appearance here on the show in quite some time. Must mean there's a NASCAR race coming up, Daytona 500 coming up this weekend. And Christian tried to bring you down, saying, hey, it's the 20-year anniversary of Dale Earnhardt's passing.
I'm not trying to bring anybody down. I'm trying to honor
statement.
The Intimidator. We're talking about goats. I'm trying to honor the goat. Like, don't try to say I'm bringing us down. I'm here honoring people, and I figured there's no one else better to bring on than the person who I believe on the inaugural second down hit us with a raise hell, praise Dale. So
yes, sir. Had to.
Hasn't let it go.
You had to. But no, at the end of the day, I woke up. I saw that this morning. I was like, man, that's rough. And then I moved on and got past it. And then I came in and was like, hey, want to talk about this? Like, oh man, there's a race tonight. There's a class. But it is a proper spot and of course proper day to honor the man, the myth, the legend, the real king of NASCAR. No,
why are you laughing, Kevin? Kevin, no, to be fair,
I like talking
the Intimidator.
Kevin gets awkward around anything like this. He just kind of like
what
laughs and smiles. Well, just anything serious. You just kind of start smiling and laugh, and you just thank you.
So, do you have anything you guys want to ask me, or just?
I mean, wait. To make it less awkward for Kevin. I mean, PJ. No. Because Kevin goes, "What am I awkward about?"
He's the kind of guy that laughs at a funeral.
No.
I mean, what it means, but he soon will.
No, PJ. I mean, when it comes to we talk about guys who transcended their sport, right? We're talking about guys who you think of a sport and a name jumps out. When you think of golf, you think of Tiger. You think of basketball, you think of LeBron or Jordan. When you think of NASCAR, you think of Dale Earnhardt. I mean, just talk about his impact just on the sport itself. Obviously, the way he tragically, the way his life tragically came to an end is something that, obviously they remember. But I mean, just talk about his because people talk about the word dominate, but I think that's something we throw out there. Just talk about,
not dominate.
How much he dominated the sport.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I think the thing about Dale Earnhardt is you look back in the history of NASCAR, there are plenty of guys that you can look back on and say had great careers, had great seasons, everything like that. But that there are certain guys that just dominated, even with the other people that were great during their time, completely dominated the news cycle. And of course, you have Richard Petty, but they were running, 3-4 races a week. His cars and teams were so much better.
Are you calling Richard Petty a
else.
Compiler?
No, I'm just saying, as the sport grew,
I've been over this with PJ many times.
As the sport grows and as it goes out to media outlets and gets on TV and everything like that, Richard Petty, of course, was still dominating, but he really handed that mantle over to Dale Earnhardt. And I feel like Dale Earnhardt Sr. was, you had more talent, you had more teams, better teams coming into the sport. They were racing less times a week and traveling more throughout the country and whatnot, which of course meant less time on the actual racetrack. But he was still able to go out and dominate in a similar fashion. Of course, not as many wins, but just as many championships. And
that car, man.
Exactly. I mean, he had some great paint schemes early in his career, but turning to that number 3 GM Goodwrench.
You see that black 3 car in the rear view.
Exactly. It really was a great symbol for the way he drove as well. Not only he didn't even have to. A lot of people see him roughing some people up on the racetrack. Of course, you have the classic crashes and things like that. But there were times as well where you go into the corner, you see him behind you, and he's faster than you, and you just get loose. You just take your eyes off the track, and he gets past you before you know it. That's where he gets the nickname, the Intimidator, and not only that, who he was off of the racetrack with people inside the sport, outside the sport, around his community, and things like that. That's what really makes Dale Earnhardt such a big name, along with his success on the racetrack.
And we got about 2 minutes here, PJ, but just obviously what you talked about on the track, off the track, and the celebrity that he had that impact. But on the flip side of it, in his death, he completely changed the sport, because he was not the first NASCAR driver to pass away on the track, but the stardom and just the traumatic experience that it was to see him die the way he did it completely changed the trajectory and the safety standards and the protocols inside of that sport.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Even in those situations, the names Petty and Earnhardt are still linked. You have within a few months, I believe within the same year or two, you have Adam Petty passing away in a wreck in a practice session in New Hampshire. And of course, Dale Earnhardt, the most dominant guy in the sport for the last 15 years, passes away at Daytona. And that's when they really stopped and of course, they were studying, but really made a focus. And because of that, just a short time later, you have the Hans device. You have plenty of other different developments in the safety fashion of the NASCAR throughout the way. And that's one of the main reasons why you look at a wreck like we had with Ryan Newman last year in the Daytona 500, and he was able to walk out of the hospital.
Nobody realistically should have walked away from.
No, exactly. You can ask the guys. I was glued to my TV and shaking actually after seeing that wreck. And to think that he was okay and walked out of the hospital the next morning was dumbfounding.
Yeah.
But like you said, that's the kind of impact that not only the life, but yes, sadly and tragically, the death of Dale Earnhardt had on NASCAR.
Yeah, and we'll have some racing tonight, as you mentioned, and the Daytona 500 coming up on Sunday. Back at it. We'll come back final hour. Sean Quinn going to join us. We'll talk some football with head coach of the Savannah State Tigers, and we'll debate who the real GOAT is in the final hour.
Could it be Dale Earnhardt?
Stick around for that. We'll break it down. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
Yep.
Welcome back to 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Final hour of the show. A lot to get to. We're going to debate who the real GOAT is coming up a little bit later this hour on the show. But Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop here with you all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. You can stream us on our YouTube channel as well at ESPN Coastal. So a lot to get to this hour. And joining us here, well, I see half of them on the show, the head football coach of the Savannah State Tigers. He might be on a phone call, Ben, so we'll wait until he gets back. There he is. You with us, Coach? I saw like half of you on my screen for a minute, but glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here. Let's just put it that way. So glad to get to the race. I'm glad to be here. Thank you. You guys are a respite in my otherwise dreary day some days. So listening to you guys getting to see Ben smile and you talk about Valdosta State football. I mean, what more could a guy want? So.
No, Coach. At a certain point, look, if you on the phone and Kevin said I can see half of them, just give him that head coach one finger. That listen, man, I'm working, dude. Like I'm used to balancing a lot of different things, and at a certain point, I mean, y'all gonna have to just do the one-on-one. You look at Kevin in the face and go, "I'm noticing some biased questions because of your alma mater. Is there something you want to get off your chest?"
Yeah, is that a Cleveland Browns helmet on his desk over there? What is that?
Where?
Is that a Syracuse helmet over there in the
No.
This direction?
Yeah. Is that a Florida helmet?
We won't say what it is. You will. It's actually.
Oh, there you go. Get the backpack.
There it is.
There you go. Hey.
The other one, the one across from it, Coach, is like an old school throwback, way back Valdosta State helmet. But we do have the Savannah State helmet right there with it. Like you guys were going to square off head to head.
Yep. Well, I would give you a piece of advice. Valentine's Day is coming up. On Valentine's Day, put that Savannah State helmet on and walk home, and your wife will say you've never looked handsomer in your life, and she'll be more than happy to see you. I'll leave it at that.
Hey, whatever I got to do, I'll do it at the end of the day. But, Coach, hey, you're coming off of a National Signing Day last week. How'd that go for you guys?
Good. It's like having 18 triplets at once, so it's you're stressed out, but it was good. We got 19 guys. We just signed a guy on Friday from Toombs County. We got another guy from Toombs County. So we've got 19 now. So it was good. Anytime you add good players that are good people, man, that's fun stuff. Makes the job, and those guys put their faith in you. And there's some emotional things when they tell you how much they appreciate you. So you get to be Santa Claus. So that's a lot of fun. And then Kevin, that's a much better look, by the way, now. The other way.
Thank you.
But, it's like I don't know any coach that hasn't loved their draft, maybe other than when the Saints traded everybody for Ricky Williams. But most of the time, those drafts, the signing day is a pretty good deal. And we got some good local players, man. Down your way, I decided I want to come hang out in Brunswick and McIntosh County and come down there and get some guys. So it was a lot of fun.
And Coach, I mean, obviously you guys are getting closer, trying to, getting back to some real football here. Talk about that journey. I know you've been blessing us with your presence since last fall and bringing up to now. Just talk about just being able to kind of put this thing together, and these players are just stay the course. It's not easy to reel in, to keep 18 to 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds like focused when you're taking away what they love. But talk about just that camaraderie, keeping everything together, and them guys really staying the course.
Well, it's been good to get them back. We've had them for 3 weeks now, Ben, and actually practiced today, so that was good in the rain, need be. But it's good just to get them back and fellowship with them. And the reason you got a job is because of those guys. And so being around them is fun and working out. And, they've dealt with COVID. They've dealt with not playing. They've dealt with just about everything. The Browns having a winning season. So, there's been all kinds of crazy stuff go on. But it's been good. Like I said, we got to practice today. And I appreciate the fact that they've hung in there, man. It's been easy to transfer out, do something else when you're not playing and all your buddies are. So, that's been a real challenge for us, keeping it, creative, and talk to some coaches in Division II and just what they're doing to try to keep the guys on, a good edge to them because, in essence, you're not playing since 2019, really, if you really boil it down. So we got some games coming up. That'll be fun. And, we're going to be young and inexperienced. And we got a lot of new guys, a lot of guys that are out that we got to get back. So it'll be interesting here to see how it all comes together in the next couple months.
Sean Quinn joining us here on a 3 and Out, head coach of the Savannah State Tigers. The coach, we had the Super Bowl over the weekend, and Tom Brady wins again. I know as someone into business who you guys got to get after it and compete, that dude makes it look way easier than it is, doesn't he?
He does a great job of just lifting the guys around him, and I think Ben will attest to this. When you got somebody that just when he walks in the room, he raises everybody's level, and there's guys that are more talented than him, but the will to and the want to and the competitiveness, and just when he says, hey, run that route at 14 instead of 12, you're going to listen to him. And, it was a heck of a game. As a defensive guy, I thought Tampa's defense played outstanding and running the football. It was good to see. We talked all week, last week as a staff, if Fournette got going and their run game got going, that was going to be their key. Because if you noticed, there was a reemergence of Lenny, whatever his name, Fournette, or whatever he goes by now. That was a different guy. That was the guy you saw at LSU, and then Ronald Jones. And that, to me, was really the difference in the ballgame and the defensive line. And probably the most underrated part of the whole Super Bowl was those 2 tackles from Kansas City not playing. That may have been the difference in of itself. So,
and Coach, the thing about a guy like, as you mentioned, a guy like Tom Brady. Great coaches always tell me great players reinforce football principles. They don't get away from what the principles of the game are. You talk about being able to tell a player running at 14, not at 12, making sure that what is it about accountability that Tom Brady seems to make sure not just hold himself to it, but he holds everybody around him to it as well.
I'll say this: the best teams I've ever been part of are player-led. And, at Tennessee, Peyton Manning was a legend and how he led the team. But any good football team, Ben, I bet you played on, the players, they were front and center, and they were setting the standard. And obviously the coaches can say so much, and the players have got to take over because they're the ones that are playing. And I think just what Tom does and how he demands from everybody. I had a scout from the Bucs come in here, and he said, I didn't know how Tom Brady was until we had a chance to go a couple years ago and go into a meaningless inter-squad practice versus the Patriots. And it was in July. It was 100 degrees. And he's out there with the third string, fourth string receivers going back through the routes after everybody's left 30 minutes earlier because they were running the route at 6 instead of 5. And he was given the nuances. Something he could have easily went inside and gotten a cold tub or had a Gatorade or called it a day. And he was out there in the heat with nobody around working and just demanding from those lesser players to work like him. And so, I think that, you set the standard with him and everybody else can fall in line.
Sean Quinn joining us here on 3 and Out. You mentioned defense there for Tampa Bay. You defensive guy. When you can get after somebody with 4 guys, it makes your job a whole lot easier, right? They have so many weapons. Tampa's like, hey, we're going to get after you with 4 and keep everything in front of us. It made it look real nice when you have that pressure up front, right?
They played well, and, they just never got in a rhythm on offense. I kept waiting for Kansas City to explode, and, they limited the big plays. And I'll be honest with you, they said it on TV. They were very physical. I don't know if you guys could tell. To me, there was a difference in the physicality, and I hadn't seen Mahomes be hit like that all year, and that takes an effect. Any good quarterback. We did it to Ben's quarterback when we were at Tennessee. I think we hit him 41 times when we beat you guys in 2001.
Yeah, I try not to go. I try to live in the present, Coach.
But you want to affect one of every 6 throws, and I think they did even more than that. So it was interesting to me just to see how much they got to him, and I thought their defensive line played outstanding. I thought Todd Bowles had an awesome plan because they do a great job at Kansas City. They're hard to stop. We watch them, and man, they're pretty. But they did as good a job as I've seen in the last 2 years on them.
Coach, how good of a feeling is it being a defensive guy? You come into the defensive meeting room and you say, all right, JPP, Shaq, Vita Vea, Dominican, we're gonna let you guys go eat. But then you tell Levante David and Devin White, Levante, we're gonna give you Travis Kelce. Like, we're gonna give you Travis, and we want you to mirror him. And Devin, you hit everything that moves. We're gonna do nothing cheap, nothing deep. I mean, you could take that tape of the Super Bowl and you could teach defense. Say, this is how you play at all 3 levels.
I thought their backers played outstanding. They used what we call a scooch technique, and they fronted up. Kelce, usually he'll body you up, create separation, or knock you on your heels, and those guys were able to play flat-footed, get into them. They let them play, and I thought that was one of the differences of ball game, because usually when you take away the other guys, Kelce's the guy that hurts you, and they were able to kind of eliminate him. And then, on the flip side, Gronkowski was kind of the secret weapon for New England. You thought Kelce would be the guy, and now he got outplayed by Gronkowski, and they defended him much better than Kansas City defended the Bucs.
Sean Quinn joining us here on 3 and Out. Now, Coach, today, National Pizza Day. We've asked several folks on the show. Obviously, coaches like to get after it. Your players like to get it in your playing days. What is the most pizza you've ever taken down in one sitting?
Well, I'm a pizza snob, being from Chicago, so I think I'm an expert on this. There's a lot of cardboard with tomato paste on it that's called pizza, but I've had a half of a deep dish pizza from Giordano's in Chicago, Supreme. And if you've ever had a deep dish in Chicago, it's a good 4 to 6 inches of goodness. And there's about probably a pound of cheese in 2 or 3 slices. You're probably looking at anywhere from 8 to 12,000 in a whole pizza calories. So I did half the deal, and they had to wheel me out of there. I was in food coma for about 26 hours. Probably watched about 12 episodes, reruns of Happy Days, because I couldn't think straight. But that would probably be my most fond memory. But all the Chicago deep dish pizza, you eat 1 piece and it's like a meal. You eat 2 and it's like you're going to eat for about 3 weeks. So good stuff.
Yeah, that deep dish, when they say it's the deep dish pie, you've seen something that literally looks like a huge piece of cake or pie coming out of the oven. They're serving it up as pizza.
I love living here. I don't miss anything about home other than the skyline and the pizza. But if they could ship the pizza in here every day, I'd be a happy camper. And I'd probably be about 450 if that was the case. So, but I stress eat. So pizza is my go-to when I stress eat. So.
Hey, you heard the man. Chicago style deep dish. Need to get it here.
No. Yeah, no bias from Coach at all. Like, no, Coach said cardboard with tomato sauce on it. No, I'll pass.
Yeah, I'm a pizza snob. I struggle with pizza now. There's a couple places here that are really good, but it's a different style. There's one and only Chicago style, and it's almost mafioso style up there. You feel like you're in a mob movie when you go eat at some of those pizza places.
That's another question, another discussion for another day. But hey, Coach Sean Quinn joining us. We appreciate the time. We'll check in soon. Thanks much.
Hey guys, appreciate you guys. Good to finally talk to you again. Go Tigers! Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Yes, Sean Quinn joining us here on 3 and Out. We'll come back with more all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
removed him, they don't win that game. You take Tom Brady off that team, I don't think Tampa Bay wins that game.
Talk about Tristan Wirfs, first-round rookie, coming in, started all 20 games, didn't miss a snap all year. I think 1 sack allowed after week 5, 1 penalty allowed after week 5. I mean, how does a guy walk into the NFL and do that on the offensive line?
Well, he was dominant at Iowa, and he was. There's a reason he came off the board in the first round. He's got super physical, a lot of fun to watch, and he's another one of those additions, I guess, when you have to collectively put into what made Tampa Bay different than the 7-19 they were the year before. But that was a big get. That was a big draft pick. That was a big win for Tampa Bay to make that selection there, because there were some other folks that were thinking, oh, do you add another wide receiver, some tailbacks on the board, a couple different directions you could go, and they ended up hitting a home run with Wirfs, because I think he is going to be a long-standing starter on that offensive line, and he was fantastic this year. And you knew bringing in Brady, you were going to need to bolster the protection. I think that's one of the reasons that you add a Gronk. It's one of the reasons they have 4 or 5 tight ends on that roster. The most athletic one, most gifted one, by the way, not even playing in the Super Bowl with O.J. Howard on injured reserve. But you knew you needed to sort of upgrade that offensive line. And, I mean, they've got a starter up front that's on injured reserve right now. So they got some options. I think they have $14.5 million in space going into the offseason. Fournette's up. I think Sue is up. I think Levante David is up. So they got Antonio Brown obviously up. You already got Mike Evans saying he'll give some money back. He'll restructure. You know, Brady will restructure. So they're going to try to keep that thing together. I mean, the confidence that Brady showed right after the game of, no, there's, you know that, we coming back. I was just kind of thinking, man, let's not even do this, even thinking twice about it. He already knows he's coming back next year. So Wirfs was a big part of why they were able to do what they were able to do.
And Cole, I mean, I know we get, you know, just getting back to the offensive line play of what Tampa was able to do. You being a former offensive lineman, I mean, me being a former tight end, I mean, obviously, you know, I prided myself on being an all-around tight end. But I used to go to the offensive line room and I used to ask those guys I played with, man, what's the greatest game plan to you? And they would say, I want that guy in front of me. I don't want nobody to help me. I don't want nobody. Give me that guy in front of me and trust that I can take you there. Is that what you think? Bottom line, the old line said to themselves, listen, man, we ain't gonna get none of the glory, but we want to go out there and show the world, like you said, you can have all the offensive firepower in the world. We're gonna reestablish another line of scrimmage and we're gonna get this done.
Yeah, I think that starts with the head coach. And you know, I talked to the Tampa Bay tight end coach Rick Christophel earlier today, and he talked about just Bruce's philosophy, mentality is balance. They're going to be a team that can run the ball. They're going to be a team that knows they need to be successful running the ball. I think you know that if you can get that going, everything else is going to open up, be it tight ends underneath, be it Mike Evans, Antonio Brown down the field. And then, too, I think they understand that, hey, man, we got the best to ever do it. We got one of the guys in this league, if you give him time, he can carve you up, no matter what defense we're playing, no matter what scheme it is, no matter what they're coming at us with. Just give him some time, and we're going to be able to go shred people. So I think when you know you have all those things around you, and you know that that's what you're working towards, it does make your job a little more fun, makes life a little bit easier. I think some of the formations and sets they give too, when they spread the line of scrimmage, go multiple tight ends, that obviously helps a lot. Being able to sort of keep people at bay and force defenses to spread out a little bit more. But it's that's been a group that's played great ball this year. I mean, they have. I think Tom Brady's hit rate and pressure rate was the lowest in the NFL. I know his Super Bowl pressure rate and playoff pressure rates were the lowest of his career. I mean, to think about him at that age and that to happen, you got to look at that O-line and think they're doing an amazing job. So that's a big reason that Tampa was able to get that Super Bowl.
Cole Cubelic joining us here on 3 and Out. And Cole, switching gears, talking some college football right at the end of December, right before Christmas. Brian Harsin hired there at Auburn, brought in Mike Bobo, Derek Mason, National Signing Day last week. How would you rate kind of his first month and a half on the job?
Well, I think there's a lot of things you take into consideration. I think it's a good hire, a strong hire. I really like the staff that he's put together. He's got a couple former Auburn guys with Zach Etheridge coaching the corners, Cornell Williams coaching the running backs, and you got the SEC ties. Obviously, Derek Mason's been a head coach in the SEC. Bobo's been an interim head coach and an offensive coordinator in the SEC. You got an offensive line coach that's been around the league for a long time, and Will Friend. And he's got a couple of his guys from his previous staff that I think make him more comfortable, that know exactly what he wants to do and what he wants to accomplish. But signing day is something that people are going to look at and say, there's this big letdown from Brian Harsin, or he didn't get things going, getting things together. Now that you got the early signing period, I mean, I think it's almost impossible for a new coach to come in and sort of resurrect the signing class, which that rarely has happened anywhere. You get a coaching change, and people are going to be able to use that against you, recruit negatively, and it's going to be hard to hold a class together or go get a better class than you had before. So I think he's done a fine job so far. I think he gets it. I think he's learning about what it's going to be like as he goes. I love the staff that he's put together. And, you got some in-state prowess. He goes and gets a Cornelius Williams out of Troy, wide receiver coach that played at Hoover High School. I think he's a guy that has large in-state ties. He's keeping Kendall Simmons on staff to help with the offensive line. It's a kid that's got 2 Super Bowl rings, one of the best to ever play in the SEC. So he's got a former offensive line coach coaching his tight ends. I like having the extra brain power, the extra brain trust as far as O-line play is concerned. And then you got he and Bobo that can both really go out there and help develop a quarterback. Those are 2 giant positions of need when it comes to player development that Auburn's going to need. And he got a couple guys out of the portal last week that I think are going to be able to help him. A couple guys decided to come back and play some more football at Auburn that had a chance to move on, like a Daquan Newkirk. So I'm excited about what Brian Harsin brings to the table. I don't think it's going to be great necessarily year one. There are some positions of need and obviously some holes on that roster, but I'm anxious to see how he can build it over the next few years.
And Cole, obviously, I mean, you mentioned a little bit. I mean, a guy, like in Brian Harsin, he's kind of going to help with the passing game with Mike Bobo kind of handling the running game. And I know Bo Nix is going to have to take that sophomore leap to that junior leap. Do you think that having a guy like Tank Bixby can definitely help when getting back to what Auburn does, letting the run kind of open it up for everything else in the pass?
Yeah, if they can find the O-line to do it, Ben, that's my concern is, that offensive line just was not very good last year. Your best offensive lineman was an Akron transfer until Brandon Council went down with an injury. So if there's a guy or 2 out there in the portal that they can go get at that position, I think they have to get them. I wouldn't be surprised if you get another quarterback. I think Grant Loy, the transfer out of Bowling Green, decided to take another year. I think it's big getting him to come back because I think Brian Harsin is going to make Bo Nix compete for it. I don't think he's giving it to him. And I think if Bo Nix tries to pull some of the same on-field shenanigans that he pulled last year, bailing on the pocket, playing hero ball, not knowing when to throw the ball away, taking sacks, not running out of bounds when the clock's ticking, those kind of things are going to get him benched. I don't think Brian Harsin cares who his dad is or how they recruited him or what they told him. So having Grant Loy there is going to be valuable. I wouldn't be surprised if they even found another quarterback in the portal. And they've got to find offensive linemen in the portal as well. If they can do that, then I think Tank can get going. I think he's going to be the workhorse. You're going to sort of build it around him. It's going to start with him, and then you just kind of go from there. I hated to see Schwartz leave because I feel like this is an offense he could flourish in. You get that outside zone stretch play going with Tank, and that's going to give you some heavy play action opportunities to push the ball down the field. And Anthony Schwartz would have been a guy that absolutely could have flourished.
Cole Cubelic joining us here on 3 and Out. Cole, before we let you go, it is National Pizza Day, so we're asking everyone, back in your playing days, what's the most pizza you ever took down in one sitting?
I mean, I could easily go a large pizza and then some. I mean, I can remember ordering a large pizza at some point in time, and guys in the room or guys that I lived with in the house would say, let me get a piece of that whatever, dog, and it's like, no, this is mine. I'm still going to be hungry when I finish this. So large pizza and then maybe a couple extra slices easily. I don't think I ever did. I hadn't done the all-you-can-eat pizza that whole lot, but we had a place in Auburn called Brand X, and it was like $6.99 for a large or something like that. I mean, it was ridiculous. I think they had like 2 larges for $10, and my roommate and I, we would knock that thing out. 2 large pizzas, $10, get them in there. We both knock them out, and probably still be hungry trying to look for some ice cream or something.
So easily a pizza and a half is what you're saying, probably.
I don't know about easily pizza and a half. Large easy, and then maybe go a large pizza, a couple extra slices, no problem.
Cole Cubelic, our guest here on 3 Out. Cole, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. Cole Cubelic, our guest here on 3 and Out, talking Super Bowl, talking Auburn as Brian Harsin getting ready for his first campaign. Really, I think went about it the right way, Ben, in this day and age where you look at the teams that are successful, it's as much about offensive, defensive coordinator as it is the head coach. And he went out and got 2 guys that are very good at the coordinator spot. Mike Bobo can call offense. Derek Mason, before becoming the head coach at Vanderbilt, which, again, Vanderbilt, you're limited what you can do. But even at Vanderbilt, The dude can coach some defense. I mean, he can coach some defense. He went out and made some very good hires there at his coordinator spots.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, two guys that are well respected in the SEC. Kevin, when you look at what you know that Mike Bobo's going to run. He's going to want to run the football. Derek Mason, nobody's been able to go out there and develop. I mean, people talk about guys under Derek Mason. Zach Cunningham, 2021, led the NFL in tackles. Where did he play? He played at Vanderbilt. So I do think that, but it's going to come down to Bo Nix. And I do agree with Cole, Kevin. If they can get some offensive line to kind of, reestablish, that line of scrimmage, they got a chance to go out there in a SEC West that's only getting better, with Texas A&M getting better, in Alabama. If you haven't heard, they're pretty good. They're pretty good at football too.
Certainly. We've got more to come here on 3 and Out on this Tuesday all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. It's 3 and Out on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, talked a lot about Super Bowl, Tom Brady today on the show, but that leads to debate. Who is the real GOAT, Ben? We always like to debate GOATs, the herd of GOATs that are out there across the sports landscape, but who is the real GOAT across sports? Is it Brady?
Nope.
Is it Tigers? Is it Serena? Is it Michael Jordan? Who's the real GOAT out there?
The Tom Brady, the reason why Tom Brady can never be the GOAT because he always has a big surrounding cast, aka the other 10 guys on the field, and he don't play defense. When you look at the fact that you got Michael Jordan, Kevin, I mean he's definitely in that GOAT conversation. We talked about it, two three-peats, and he left for baseball and came back for the second three-peat. Tiger Woods is close. I mean, Tiger Woods inspired an entire generation of golfers, for which that's why everybody gonna wear. I already know on the last day they're gonna have on the red polo with the black slacks. But all those guys fall very short of Serena. The thing about Serena Williams is this. Okay, Serena Williams first had to get out of the shadow of her sister Venus. Venus was actually better than Serena at one point. I know that's crazy, so I got to outdo my sister. That's number one. Number two, I am a black woman in a white-dominated sport that is not adding a lot of members. And that's fine. Those type of things happen. She won the Australian Open when she was pregnant. Kevin, if we had this flu, like Kevin can't do high school games this week, man. He just can't. We just seen him. So all I'm saying is when you look at Serena Williams, 73 career titles, 23 career titles in doubles, 4 gold medals. She's been a professional since 1995, and she's still doing it. Now, the reason why I gave Serena over Tiger Woods is this. Tiger Woods, his body is failing him. Tiger Woods can barely play golf now. He's going to play for the big tournaments. That's unavoidable. Serena Williams is 39 years old, and she still got plenty of career left in her. She's already the greatest tennis player of all time, male or female. That's taking nothing away from the Federers of the world, of the the Sampras's of the world, of the Novak Djokovic of the world, and Rafael Nadal's of the world. But Kevin, think about this. Kevin, you have 2 daughters, and you tell them, hey, we finna go take over tennis. They're like, Daddy, you crazy? We finna do what? No. Then not only do they take it over, they are really dominating. Serena Williams dominates. Like Serena Williams, every tournament she's in, she's expected to win it. It hasn't obviously has not come with controversy and things of that nature. But I think, Kevin, when you look at the fact that, like when Tiger Woods used to step on the green, are we battling for second? Well, that's the 39, early 30s, early 20s Tiger. And I know somewhere Christian is listening going, yes, he is a truth. But I'm just saying Serena Williams still has a lot of tennis left in her. Serena Williams is doing this after she's had a child. And the thing about it is Kevin, dare I say, she's only getting better. She won a tournament and did not tell nobody she was pregnant. It was revealed. You were pregnant when you won Australian Open. Yeah, I was off my game a little bit. You freaking won it. You freaking won it with a child in your tummy. So I'm just saying, Serena Williams has done it. Listen, she's done it singles, she's done it doubles, she's done it mixed doubles, she got 4 gold medals, and she literally has to do it mostly away from America. Most of the time she's playing, it's not in the States. So I'm just saying, Serena Williams, she is the GOAT. She is all of that, Kevin, and above, because I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. She got too many superlatives to name. If it has been done in the sport, she's done it. If it needs to be broken, she's broken it. Now she's really going up against herself at this point.
Now she's up there. I will say, for me, Michael Jordan, the GOAT of all GOATs. And I will simply say, not knowing everybody's deal, but of the 4 that we listed, 3 of them are wearing the other guy's clothes. Right? I mean, hey, Michael Jordan, 6-0 in finals. Took a break to go play baseball. Came back. We'll just win 3 more.
And obviously, who knows if he doesn't take a break? Are we talking 8, 9, which is not out of the realm of possibility?
I think that would have been really interesting to see if he hadn't taken, because he won 3 in a row, took a break, came back and won 3 more. And I think you look at people stepping away at supposed peak of their performance. And we talk about this all the time. I mean, if Tom Brady were to take a 2-year hiatus from the National Football League, could he come back and compete at the same level? I mean, people talk, it's the same argument of, when Michael Vick had to go away, obviously for his various reasons. And people said, well, what if he comes back? Well, he hadn't played in 2 years. Doesn't mean he can't play.
Mm-hmm.
He just not at that same level he was when he was playing the first time. And for Jordan to come back and really still be the focal point of those Bulls teams to win 3 more championships, unbelievable. And again, never lost in the finals. That would be the equivalent. Tom Brady's 7-10. I mean, but that would be the equivalent of Tom Brady getting to the Super Bowl and never losing. Right?
I mean, yeah. And what's the documentary that Michael Jordan had? Now, I guarantee you, ESPN wasn't thinking they were going to put it out during the pandemic. They didn't foresee that. But think about it, Kevin. When we saw the documentary of Jordan, this is a 10-part series documenting the last year. That's it. This is number 6. And the thing is, the thing about Jordan is, I will say this: I don't think Michael Jordan saved the NBA. I think Bird and Magic saved it. Michael Jordan just took it to another level. The thing about it is Michael Jordan transcends sports. You know who he is, period. There is no, I don't know who that is. No, that's Mike. That is, no, don't matter. Sports, a celebrity, movie star, superstar. Michael Jordan went overseas to the Olympics just to see the big billboard of himself. I mean, I'm just saying, Kevin, when you think you are a Michael Jordan fan, and I don't care what unless you're from Detroit or Indiana, you're not a Jordan fan. But other than that, Jordan made you. Most of us have never been to Chicago, ain't never going to Chicago. You were a Chicago Bulls fan because of one guy. So Michael Jordan, I ain't never seen nothing like it. And dare I say, I ain't never seen nothing like him since.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that people don't grow up having guys that they follow, but it was almost universal, that next wave of guys that grew up with Michael Jordan, the Kobe's and all. They were like, hey, I want to be like Michael Jordan. There wasn't a whole lot of, hey, I want to be, like Charles Barkley, or I want to be, or Karl Malone, or I want to be Mike. I don't care. And again, I think some of that is, Michael Jordan was taller than your average kind of guard, I think, for the time he played. And then you kind of gave way to, hey, big guys can handle the rock too a little bit. So, I mean, I think Michael Jordan, to me, as you said, Bird and Magic really brought the NBA, saved it. Michael Jordan, put the rocket fuel on it and took it to another level where you had a whole generation of fans and even those after saying, I want to be the next Michael Jordan. I want to play basketball because I see that dude, and I want the Kobe Bryant, perfect example of that. To me, he's the ultimate GOAT status. And maybe I'm biased because I was a kid.
I don't think no one's gonna dispute you if you're saying Mike. Like if you're saying anybody other than Mike. But I will say this, Kevin, and this is crazy. Michael Jordan used to make movies about him. It was called like Michael Jordan Come Fly With Me, or Michael Jordan. It is literally just him playing basketball. Like that's it. So somebody goes, hey man, could you do a movie, called Space Jam? And we think, and it's like he's the first, like, dude, he's not even a cartoon. No, they're cartoons. He's like the first one that innovate stuff like that. But yeah.
No, I think that's part. If you go by on the field or on the court, what have you, he's there. But I think you also look at Michael Jordan, the first guy to have quote unquote his shoe, right? I mean, we had Nike shoes and Reebok shoes and Adidas shoes and all that, but then it was like, oh, the Jordans came out, and now everybody, not everybody, but if you're a big name guy, you got a shoe. Why? Oh, because another guy did it already.
Oh yeah, Michael Jordan took it to the 1985 or 6. Jordan is still the number 1 selling shoe in 2021. And most of the guys that wear them either are our age that we saw them, or they're our children saying, Daddy, man, them Jordans coming out. Yeah, we're going to be there. We got a plug. We're going to be there at 6 a.m. to get. No, I don't know how he did it, Kevin, but branding got started with Michael Jordan as far as like your own individual brand within a big company.
I agree. I mean, that's why to me he stays as the GOAT status for a lot of things you see athletes doing now. He kind of started. Tiger Woods had the whole Tiger Woods line. Why? Because Michael Jordan came through and said, hey, we can have an individual guy do sport-specific clothes. Tiger Wood brand golf apparel. Why is that? Well, because Michael Jordan did it already and showed it could be done. We got a lot more to get to here. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. And if you happen to miss any portion of the show, you can go to espncoastal.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, our YouTube channel. We can stream live on YouTube and archive there daily as well. ESPN Coastal on YouTube. You can search that out and watch the show daily there as well. Again, appreciate Cole Kubelik joining us here on the show. Home team, Brandon Leak, Sean Quinn, Savannah State head football coach joining us on the show as well. As we talked a lot of football today on the show, National Pizza Day. And how much we can, I don't know if I could do a whole pizza and a half on a good day, some, but Ben, I'm getting to that age where it's like, you got to weigh it's probably not a good idea to do that situation, not so much because you can't do it, but you just shouldn't do it.
Oh yeah. And the word back in the day when your parents go, oh, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. No, and my eyes were bigger than my stomach, but my stomach will not appreciate it. Oh, it feels good going in, people, but it ain't going to stay there. It is not going to stay there.
It's not going to be good in the long term, health wise. But no, National Pizza Day. Go enjoy a slice or two tonight. And again, if you missed any portion of the show, ESPNcoastal.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can catch the show there. We got a lot more to come this week here on the show. As again, college football, it sticks around. The 20th of February, FCS football going to be back. Braves pitchers and catchers report a week from tomorrow. So the fun always continues here on the show. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 6 here on 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Again, we stream live every day, ESPNcoastal.com, live up on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. We'll see you tomorrow here on 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.